Belly bloating can understandably leave you feeling so frustrated and confused around what to eat, what not to eat, what's going to finally bring you relief. It may even start to seep into you feeling socially withdrawn and losing the joy of food and sharing meals with friends and loved ones. So, in this video, I want to help you understand the essential foundations of what causes belly bloating and how you can begin approaching its resolution through Ayurveda. And I share this with you from my own background of experience as someone who's been an Ayurvedic health practitioner for over 13 years and helping lots of clients with all kinds of digestive issues, but also as someone who has very sensitive digestion myself and has hit every dead end in the conventional and functional medicine world and all the natural stuff in between. I have struggled with belly bloating and my belly being so distended that I've looked like 6 months pregnant, all because of the irritation in the gut. And what you'll soon find out are the root causes of belly bloating according to Ayurveda. I want you to remember you're not alone, that this frustration is shared by you and many of the people also probably watching these videos. You're not alone, and I know the road can feel lonely and confusing, but rest assured, there is resolution, there is healing possible, and in this video, we're going to unpack exactly the steps to do that, and so that you can understand more fully the bigger picture of what's going on in your gut and self-assess what are the causes that might be causing your belly bloating. So everyone's experience and unique manifestation of a bloated abdomen or belly can be different, but it all comes down to one primary concept in Ayurveda. Now, there are a couple others that I will speak to later in the video, but the majority of most belly bloating is all going to come down to this one essential foundational concept, which in Ayurveda we call Low Agni, meaning Agni Kashai, meaning Agni is your digestive fire. So we have Agni all over our body, this concept of digestive fire that's in our stomach, it's in our small intestine, it's in our colon, it's in every single organ in your body, and it's in every single cell of your body on a microscopic level, the cellular Agni, which we kind of translate to be metabolism. So it's the part of you and your whole bodily system that takes in nutrients from outside, the world outside, and digests, transforms, and assimilates those nutrients into the building blocks of new tissues and into essentially energy production. And that's what causes you to feel warm in your system and for all of your body processes to happen, is this metabolic function that we call Agni. So I want you to think about Agni being like a bonfire. If you've ever built a used a wood burning stove in the winter or built a bonfire in the summer, or you've at least seen it, you can visualize this with me, that a bonfire or some kind of actual fire that you're building needs to have a few things. It needs to have wood that are fuel, but it needs to have different gradients of fuel, right? It needs to have kindling, and then it needs, once the fire is big enough, then it needs to have heavy logs that can burn and sustain fuel for a long time. And it needs to have space in between those pieces of wood so air can circulate. So there has to be circulation. And then, of course, it has to have an ember or a spark of fire that ignites the whole process and allows it to burn up that fuel. So in cooking, when you are, say for example, you're boiling a pot of rice on the stove, you put the water, you put the rice, you put it inside the pot, and you cover it, and you turn that heat up so that it comes to a boil. And then once it reaches a certain temperature and comes to a boil, then you reduce the heat and allow it to simmer until all the water has been soaked into the rice and that rice is fully cooked. And then you get like a nice, fluffy, finished food item that you can then eat and digest. So your Agni is similar to that cooked pot of rice on the stove, or similar to the fire that is applied to it to cook it. Now, the scenario I just described has to happen in a chain of events that is associated with timing and quantity and amount of fire applied. So take that same scenario and imagine that I never put the fire all the way up to high, but rather the Agni, the fire stayed really, really low, kind of like on the simmer setting or on the melting setting on your stove. That pot of rice and water never gets to fully boil. So if it normally only takes 15 to 20 minutes to cook that pot of rice, but you never brought the fire up high enough, what's going to happen? That low fire is just going to warm up everything a little bit, but in 20 minutes or so that goes by, it's never going to fully cook. And what's going to be left in that pot is uncooked rice, kind of like a sticky sludgy water. It's going to be starchy and kind of slimy, but it's going to be crunchy, and you're not going to want to eat that rice, are you? You know, if you eat that rice, it's going to give you indigestion. So similarly, take that scenario and apply it to your Agni, your digestive system. There's a certain amount of time that when you eat food, that it is able to be processed and go through the stages of digestion. It takes a couple of hours roughly in the stomach, and it all depends on your unique body type, how long each phase takes, but let's just keep it general for the point of teaching for now. It takes a certain amount of time in the stomach, a couple hours, say, 1 to 2 hours, and then another 1 to 2 hours in the small intestine, and then another 1 to 2 hours in the colon or the large intestine. Now, if it's taking that full 3 or 4 to 6 hours to go through that whole process, that means the fire inside has to be at just the right temperature and at just the right cadence for all the metabolic processes to happen along the GI tract. And it happens in rhythm. And it happens with a certain amount of heat. Now, there are other digestive disorders that I'll say on the other side of when the heat is too high and everything passes through too fast and things get burned in the process. And that can be another cause of belly bloating, and we'll save that for another video to go into more detail. But the one I'm talking about today is more associated with what we call Vata imbalance or Shima Agni type, which is a digestive type that is associated with low fire, or also Manda Agni type. So this is associated with slower metabolism or lower digestive ability, lower Agni, smaller flame, as we're describing, and also erratic timing of those stages of digestion. So low Agni is one of these predominant causes of belly bloating. So now what happens is that low fire doesn't fully cook the food, and now you have the equivalent of that uncooked, sludgy, slimy, crunchy rice that never got cooked in the pot, but that's in your gut. And so that creates indigestion, it creates irritation. Irritation causes inflammation, it causes distension, it can cause a slowness. Everything is, your body has to send so much energy to the GI tract to try to continue this process along and to try to get those irritants out of your system. So this can over time result in the phenomenon and the conundrum of symptoms that we call the various types of IBS or irritable bowel syndrome, where this food is undigested, this material going into your body is undigested. So sometimes the body either liquefies it and just tries to push it through because it's so irritating to the system and so heavy and hard for the system to break down. It can't break it down into usable nutrients for your tissues. And it can't produce enough energy because it can't break it down all the way. So now all your bodily energy gets stolen, energy from your mind, energy from other bodily processes, to try to go there and work through this heavy load. It's as if there's this giant heavy log just dropped on top of the fire, but the fire was never kindled, and it just has a little ember, so it never fully catches. So now you feel drained and fatigued and exhausted, and this stuff is irritating your GI tract. So you're feeling distended and bloated. And then over time, you also feel more and more nutrient depletion because your tissues aren't getting the nutrition that they're craving and that they're needing to build healthy, vital tissues. What also ends up happening here is because everything has slowed down, it ends up kind of fermenting or putrefying in the system. Think about the compost in your backyard. If you're composting people, gardening people, you know that it creates a lot of gaseous release and scent, and it's basically fermenting and rotting out there. But now that's happening in your gut. So sometimes it can create this off-gassing because things are too slow and sluggish in the GI tract, and that doesn't necessarily mean you'll have really foul smelling gas, but sometimes it does for certain people, depending on what's trapped in there and for how long it's been trapped in there. And then for some people, it's just that irritation or the gaseousness that pushes the gut lining and the belly out from the inside, which we call distension. So it's not like a fat you can pinch. It's like a hard pushing out from the inside that's just uncomfortable, and it feels like you need to move air out, but it doesn't readily come out. It can feel trapped in there, or it's relieved through exercise or through doing certain yoga postures or belly massage, that kind of thing. But it can leave you feeling really frustrated and uncomfortable and lower appetite, and it progresses that erratic nature of not eating on regular schedules because you feel uncomfortable all the time. And so it perpetuates this cycle. So, what do you need to do to break the cycle and to help calm this situation and resolve this belly bloating? There are several different avenues to take based on the type of belly bloating that you have, based on the type of unique constitution that your body-mind complex is. So, what do you do to resolve this frustrating belly bloating situation? I'm going to give you my top tips immediately in this video so you can apply them right away, and hopefully these will give you the relief that you need and you'll be happily on your way. And for those of you who want to go into a little bit more of a thorough protocol to follow, or you're not quite sure if the basic instructions are going to give you the relief that you've been craving, or if you've been struggling with belly bloating for a long time and suspect you may have a more complex situation, then you can book a one-on-one consult with me directly. And in that consult, I'll be able to ask you some questions and pinpoint precisely where the belly bloating is coming from for you, and I can give you an exact game plan of things to do to resolve it and take those steps towards freedom from food fear, and being able to experience the joy of food and vital energy again. So you can book that by clicking the link in the description below this video. Here are the main foundational steps to consider and to apply today, tomorrow, the next day, consistently to help resolve any belly bloating that you may be experiencing. So, the first thing is don't add more. We have to think about actually taking certain things away. So most people, when they start feeling belly bloating, they go, oh, well, what herb do I need to take? What tea do I need to drink? What supplement do I need to throw at my body? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, but you're adding just more into your Agni that's already low. So the approach here needs to be tender and keeping it simple for your compromised digestive Agni. And so in that, we say take out anything that you suspect or that whenever you eat it, it feels really heavy and you feel like a direct connection. It's not going to be as simple as just taking stuff out, but better to take certain heavy things out. Remember, we talked about that big log on the fire? Take out the big logs and try not to put more stuff at it. Don't start throwing digestive enzymes. They take away your body's ability to make your own digestive enzymes. Those are all band-aid fixes. So we need to, first and foremost, reestablish the digestive fire inside of you. And you can do that by keeping the diet light and spacious. So that brings us to number 2. So number 2 is think about the qualities of the foods that you are consuming. The qualities of the foods that cause belly bloating are dry, rough, and cold foods. And the timing of eating is number 3. The timing of eating being very erratic creates more belly bloating and gas and indigestion. So we want to look at a combination of warm, unctuous cooked foods. Unctuous is like smooth or oily, like healthy oils that are soothing, and taken in a timing that is consistent and regular. So what that could look like is the first thing you do in the morning is, rather than throw coffee straight into your system, which creates a dehydration and a dryness and an acidic state in your GI tract, the very first thing you drink is simply warm water, something warm. And it could be an herbal tea, but ideally hot water with lime. If you have a lot of indigestion, you can add a little bit of baking soda if you tend towards hyperacidity. But just warm water with a squeeze of lime and a little bit of maple syrup or your favorite little sweetener, a little bit of honey, something that just helps soothe and calm your system. If there's another warm beverage that you love, hot tulsi tea in the morning or something herbal and simple, just think about, rather than putting something cold or acidic or nothing at all, some people just don't drink anything at all in the morning, that cold, rough, or eating first thing, these will create stagnation in the gut. So to prevent that and to reverse that and to soothe the GI tract and to get everything soft, supple, calm, and sliding through, we drink warm water. And then your foods throughout the day are also warm meals that are timed consistently throughout the day. So if you're someone who eats all over the map, throws a handful of nuts into their mouth while they're on the go, or you're used to eating lots of to-go foods while you're distracted and busy, these are things that contribute to belly bloating. So if you could in the morning prepare, or the night before prepare some kind of hot soup or cooked vegetable dish or something that's warm and soothing that you can heat up taken a thermos with you for your lunch during the day and have a warm meal in the middle of the day, rather than push past the point of hunger and throw dry, cold snacks at yourself. This is going to do wonders to resolving the belly bloating. So, sitting for a meal, being present, being able to eat something warm and soothing to your system. One of the causes of belly bloating that just backs up this point is when we skip a meal, but the body's actually hungry. So when your body is hungry, it releases digestive enzymes and acids into your stomach, preparing for food to come in. And if you don't eat a nourishing meal at that time, well, the body has to do something with all that acid or it'll burn a hole through your stomach. So that acid gets reabsorbed into the bloodstream and it actually creates an irritation in your whole system. Also, that acid can get reabsorbed down into the small intestine, which can perpetuate bloating and gas. And then when you finally eat, you go to eat because now you're like, I'm starving because I skipped that meal. But you eat something and it basically falls on empty fire, no fire. So now there are no enzymes to absorb and digest that thing. So it's like a heavy log on a low to no fire. So we have to learn how to listen to our body signals and feed them when they're asking for food. And so if you prepare something ahead of time or just plan out your days accordingly so that at consistent increments, whenever it works in your unique schedule, but at consistent increments, your body can trust you and say, okay, every morning at 8 o'clock we get this nice hot beverage. Every morning at noon I get a warm meal. Every evening at 6 I get a warm meal. The body and the GI tract starts to come into a circadian rhythm that it can rely upon, and the belly bloating goes away. So those are my 3 tips for you so far. I have one more. So one, just to review, don't add more supplements and stuff in. Think more about what can I take out and hold off on for now, things that I know are too heavy for me. The second, drink warm water upon waking. The third is try to have timed meals throughout the day that are ideally warm and soothing. The last one, if you're struggling with a lot of belly bloating, is not eating too late into the evening. So consider how you can have an earlier, lighter dinner. When you consistently eat a heavy meal or meals late into the evening, like late at night after the sun has set, when the sun sets, your digestive ability sets, because your digestive enzymes are actually stoked. That fire of your digestion is stoked by your eyes seeing and sensing the fire in the external environment. So the enzymes are active during the day and they go dormant at night, and your body's trying to cleanse itself at night. They don't go dormant, rather they turn internal. And now your body is trying to cleanse your blood, your liver, Agni gets active, and it's trying to filter out and remove and carry stuff to your GI tract that is waste products so that you can eliminate it in the morning. So if you have any challenges with constipation or feeling heavy and sluggish or brain foggy in the morning, and you feel like you're lethargic and it's hard to get out of bed, and you have belly bloating, odds are you've crept into this late night eating pattern that is having your body be clogged and feel clogged. So try to eat a warm, earlier, lighter dinner, and this will help soothe that and allow your body to empty properly for the evening, for the cleanse, so that you can start the beautiful cycle over again the next day. So try those 4 tips. Let me know how they go. Send me a little comment in below this video. I would love to hear which of those 4 tips you've tried already or will be trying next. And in upcoming videos, I will share even more detail and insights around belly bloating and how to resolve this uncomfortable situation for yourself. Thank you for listening today, and I'll see you on the next video. Blessings.